Let's go! Hello and welcome to another episode of Ferret 64 with me, your host, Yemmy the Ferret. Yes, this is the video game podcast all about news, occurrences, first impressions, reviews, game shows, what's coming soon, etc. I think y'all know the gist. If you've been watching on YouTube, do appreciate that. I've been recently putting these on YouTube. I haven't really been doing any editing to them or anything like that, but I thought, be kind of nice to at least put it on there. You can blame Squid Daddy for that one. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about today, so let's go ahead and get started with what was announced at that gaming show. Alright, so the PlayStation Showcase was this past week, and that premiered on Wednesday of last week on the 24th? Yes. And we did a little, watch along. There was a lot of interesting things shown off at the showcase, and there was a couple weird things shown off as well, and some things that were exciting, some things that were not so exciting. But anyway, let's start off with the most exciting thing, which was the Marvel's Spider-Man 2 trailer that they showed off. This was at the tail end of the showcase, and let me tell you, it really did bring it all together. I think about halfway through, the showcase started to really pump out the jams, you know what I'm saying? And Spider-Man 2 was the final cherry on top of it all. It was a pretty big cherry, though. This was a very lengthy 10-minute trailer. Showed some gameplay, showed some story stuff in there. Essentially, one of the first things that they showed off was Craven the Hunter going through a forest, and he was like, "Oh my god, I'm getting so bored of hunting." And then the guy comes up and he's like, "Hey, New York City is full of freaks." And he's like, "Yes, take me to the freaks." So, it fast forwards to the gameplay, and one of the first things that happens is Spider-Man jumps out of a basement, and he has the Venom suit on, which is a huge reveal. Let me tell you that much. I believe it is a freaking massive reveal to have that. So I think that this gameplay takes place a couple hours into the game. My thoughts are that, because Harry was revealed to have the Venom equipped, the liquid equipped, I'm saying equipped, but it's attached to him in this container that's keeping him alive or something like that. Harry Osborn's like, "Oh my god," And so I think that what happens at the beginning of the game is you fight Venom, Harry as Venom, and then the symbiote attaches to you. And Harry's left, probably dying, so he's probably being kept alive, and that's why in the gameplay you're tracking down the lizard to hopefully get him to do an antidote for you. But he's kind of in his own crazy crocodile type rampage in the city at the time, trying to escape the dudes. The other thing that they revealed is that, Miles Morales, he's going to be completely playable in this game. He has his own moveset. I think they do share a couple of things, obviously, probably most likely the traversal techniques. There's this little glider that they pulled out midway through. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely probably going to be one of the new inventions that they make, and that's probably before the Venom section, before Peter gets the Venom suit, which would be kind of cool. Or maybe they just introduce it right away, and they're like, "Hey, this is a thing that we developed together," The possibilities are not endless per se, but it's looking really good. There's new enemies, there's new traversal techniques, there's new abilities. They showed a bit of stealth gameplay, that looks about the same, except now you have an ability to actually shoot a solid web for you to tightrope on, which was not in the original games, which is really cool. Really enjoy that. Miles can go invisible still. He still has his Venom punches, He also can do double takedowns from like the tightrope or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's all looking really, really good, really smooth. They've definitely been working their asses off on this game. Like I said, a lot of returning stuff in there, but also some new stuff to be seen as well. And obviously, the newest thing would be the Venom suit that is shown off in the game, and it's affecting Peter, and he's being more antagonistic. He's being a bit more violent. And I think that towards the end of the game, maybe you'll have a choice to either fight as Miles against Peter or fight as Peter against Miles. I think that'd be a very interesting choice to make at the end of the game. Obviously, it leaves it a little bit too open for a sequel or something like that. But yeah, I think what they shown off was really cool. They had like this Uncharted section where you were chasing down a bunch of speeding boats who were chasing after a lizard, and there's some helicopters or whatever they're called coming around. And essentially, you kind of hop from jet ski to jet ski or boat to boat, taking out the goons on top of them, which was it was a really cool set piece. I'm very excited for the game though. It seems like both elements from both of the Spider-Man games that we have had are coming around, along with some new things. So Genki's back, who helps Miles. Peter obviously is there. There's a few characters who we haven't seen though, like we didn't see Mary Jane in this one in the trailer, so we'll see what happens. Maybe something's happened to her, maybe not. I don't know. But anyway, they revealed that yes, it's going to be coming in fall, so you don't have to wait too long for the game. Fall 2023, just in time for the holiday season. And then they also revealed before the show that co-op was definitely not going to be in the game, which is not something that I really wanted per se. I think it would have been cool to play with a friend. One person is Miles, one person is Peter, and maybe they'll do like a side mode with that, But I'm not really that broken up that there's no co-op in this game. I think it's going to be just fine as a single player experience, and yeah, I'm very, very excited. I'm excited to see what they have in store for us, even more so. They already revealed that they did not show their full hand at the PlayStation Showcase, which doesn't really make sense because it's like, hey, this is our showcase. We're selling you our console and games and blah 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 blah. Why aren't you coming with all your guns? Maybe they're saving some stuff for the Summer Games Showcase, but yeah, I'm very excited for this. Looks like it's going to be very good. Can't wait to see how the story goes, etc., etc. Next up, Metal Gear Solid 3 confirmed that it's going to be getting a remake. It's actually called Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. The reveal trailer was kind of confusing. It was a bunch of animals like attacking each other, and kind of midway through, I was like, I wonder if this is going to be Metal Gear. And then finally at the end, the crocodile gets eaten by the snake or whatever, and then all of a sudden, Snake reveals himself from the darkness, and then it flashes the name of the game, which is Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, which will be coming, I don't know, later this year, I think. Coming soon, so it doesn't say when exactly. Then they also, in like a little splash screen, revealed that there is going to be a Metal Gear Solid Volume 1 coming to the consoles later this year or next year. That includes Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3, and I believe it also includes like a PSP game or something like that. I know there was a couple of spin-offs that they were going to put into the Volume 1 as well, which also tells us that there might be a Volume 2 coming as well later, at a later date, that has Metal Gear Solid 4, maybe Resurgence or whatever it's called, Revengeance. The one where you use the sword and cut people up. I can't remember the name exactly right now. I apologize. Maybe it'll include also Phantom Pain and Ground Zeroes. Maybe that's going to be Volume 2, I think that Metal Gear Solid 5 is a pretty huge game, so I don't know if they would exactly include that in there, but who knows? They sell it for like $5 now, so it's like, why not? So yeah, hopefully this means that we'll be getting these games playable on modern consoles. The last collection actually included 1 through 4, which was on the PS3 and Xbox. I believe it was on the PS3 and Xbox 360 together, but I can't quite remember. But there was a lot of re-releases for Metal Gear back in the day. but they have not done one in quite some time, so this will be nice. Another game called Fair Games. This is coming from Haven Studios. It's coming to PS5 and PC. Essentially, it looks like it's a very sporadic, probably going to be like a third-person cooperative battle royale type thing. Not really. They kind of showed it off as like a heist game. So maybe you're going to be like going into a heist against other people, and trying to steal the money, and you can take them down. It's probably going to play a little bit like that Hood Outlaws game that totally bombed, but instead this one has guns, so there you go. So it wasn't really that huge of a reveal, honestly. They didn't really show too much, but we can gander that it's going to be some sort of cooperative heist game, and you'll be taking on other people as well at the same time. Helldivers is actually getting a sequel. This was a top-down cooperative action shooter that came out back in the day. And I don't think anyone was really I don't think anyone was expecting a Helldivers sequel to be announced. But yes, there is a Helldivers sequel coming. They changed the perspective a little bit, so instead of top-down, it's a more of an older, over-the-shoulder type experience. It's a cooperative shooter where you fight against bugs, big bugs. So yeah, I'm excited for this. It's apparently coming this year, so it's coming to PS5 and PC later this year. Might be a really good cooperative shooter type game. So yeah, 2023. Apparently it's coming this year. On the PlayStation blog, Catherine Baskin explained, "You'll step in the boots of an elite class of soldiers whose mission is to spread peace, liberty, and manage democracy using the biggest, baddest, and most explosive tools in the galaxy. Team up with up to 4 friends to wreak havoc on the alien scourge that threatens the safety of your home, Earth." So, there you go. Pretty cool there. There was a game called Concord that was revealed, but nothing else was really shown off about it. It had this really nice CG trailer. It has a really nice logo, but other than that, not much was shown off other than, hey, it looks like maybe it's going to be a shooter. Maybe you're going to pilot some spacecrafts. Maybe it's PlayStation's answer to, what's it called? Starfield. This is supposedly coming in 2024. We'll have to wait for more information until then. But as of right now, there's a nice teaser trailer, but not much else. Bungie has confirmed that they're bringing back the game Marathon. They were working on this, I believe, before Sony bought them, or maybe even before they went solo. But anyway, Bungie released the original Marathon? No. Bungie released a Marathon in 1994? Alright, I guess I don't know what's going on here. So yeah, the game is essentially coming back. It's going to be a sci-fi PvP shooter, extraction shooter, so probably in the same vein as something like The Division or something like that. Probably going to be a bit of a battle royale thing going in there as well. The game will be coming to all platforms. Currently, there's no plans for a Switch version, though. Right now, there is no PlayStation exclusivity, despite Bungie being owned by Sony now. So we'll see if eventually that gets revealed, but right now it's apparently coming to all platforms. So yeah, it's going to be a PvP focused game. There will not be a single player campaign. Instead, the PvP experience will be the foundation. So yeah, it's essentially going to be kind of like a Division, dark zones or whatever, but with a bit of a more sci-fi setting. Also, people saw the hidden QR code inside of the trailer, followed it to a website where you could actually log in and see an interview with the game's director, who reveals more details on the upcoming game. If you're interested in it, there is a YouTuber named Stylosa who gave a video breakdown for the game and also what the secret developer blog was. Okay, there is a new PlayStation portable handheld coming out later this year alongside some high quality earbuds. Now, don't get too excited because this is a cloud gaming console or handheld. Essentially, it's a PlayStation 5 controller that's been cut in half with a screen in the middle. The screen does not look natural compared to the rest of the controller edges. I feel like they need to like fill out the screen a little bit more, or maybe add some more stuff to the screen. The problem is that you're not going to be able to take this like on the road and just kind of like play your games from anywhere like you can with the Switch or the Steam Deck. Essentially, you would have to stream the game from a network. And of course, you'd have to have a pretty good network for some of these PS5 games that you could stream with cloud gaming. Um, so yeah, this is not the PlayStation Portable you're looking for, but it definitely is a portable device. Especially if you're a person who likes to play, late into the night. Maybe you want to lay in bed and play a game or two. I don't know. But it will have a 8-inch HD screen with all the buttons and features of the DualSense wireless controller. I don't know if is the share button going to be on there still. It looks like it's still on there, so I guess you can still share stuff from the little thing. And then, like I said before, there is a new like earbuds coming out. They're high quality, wireless earbuds. So yeah, and you can also stream any game from your PS5 over Wi-Fi too. So you can use the that streaming feature as well that a lot of people used for the PS Vita when they were you could literally set up like the PS Vita to stream the game to the console and then play it across like 3 different consoles with the share play, and then get all the trophies for like The Walking Dead in one go. Like it was kind of crazy. Anyway, so yeah, that's supposed to be coming later this year, along with the AirPods that will have lossless audio and low latency designs. Alan Wake 2 was revealed to be coming out October 17th. They showed off some gameplay, and they also revealed that the game is going to be completely digital for some reason. THQ Nordic actually offered their services to put out a physical release of the game, which they may or may not, pick up. But anyway, they revealed the new kind of like story that's going on. Essentially, Alan Wake is writing another story. And there's this new character that you're going to be playing as called Trinity or something like that. And it's got more of like a Resident Evil style to it, where it's a lot of over-the-shoulder camera work. You have your flashlight up at all times, of course. So it has some of the same mechanics that we know and love, but it looks like it's definitely more horror-based than action-based like the original game was. So this is coming in October 17th, 2023. It looks like it's going to be pretty cool. So I'm guessing that my idea was that this FBI agent that you're going to be playing as is being written by Alan Wake. So like she's essentially walking through his story. Might be kind of interesting. But yeah, it looks really good. You can check out that gameplay on PlayStation's YouTube channel, just like with all these things that I'm mentioning here. We finally got a look at Assassin's Creed Mirage, and oh man, does this sell the game for me. I actually immediately went out and pre-ordered the game because I am very excited to finally play another Assassin's Creed game that's not going to be outrageously large and open world. They definitely looks like they've scaled down the game a bit and went more to the core gameplay that we know and love from Assassin's Creed. I think the sales numbers of this game are going to kind of show you what the people want. And a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people, and I've had conversations with people through Discord or whatever. A lot of people want that return to a more original, kind of like straightforward Assassin's Creed game. And even though Valhalla, Odyssey, and Origins are good games respectively, and they've definitely changed up the series for the better, they're just too massive. They take too long to complete. There's just so much going on, and it kind of pulls me away from the experience when, not even halfway through the game, I'm doing menial tasks to try and rank up and stuff like that. In the old Assassin's Creed games, guess what? You were just Ezio, you upgraded your armor, you upgraded your weapons, boom, bada bing, you were good to go. So this new character who is going to be the main character of this game, he has like this Assassin's Creed ability that kind of reminds me of the Fear takedown from Arkham Knight, where essentially he can plot out taking down multiple enemies in quick succession and do it for you almost, it looks like automatically, which might be a cool thing for groups of enemies. Obviously, it looks very stylish, looks very much like those original Assassin's Creed games. Brotherhood is still my favorite Assassin's Creed game of all time, but I'm very excited to try this out. Assassin's Creed Mirage, it's officially coming October 12th. It looks like it's going to be pretty good. I'm very excited for that. Uh, don't don't miss out on this one if you like the old Assassin's Creed games. There is a new action RPG called Phantom Blade Zero coming from a mobile game developer. It's being developed by S Games. So this is their first foray into console gaming. This is a Beijing-based developer. They're making this action RPG with a heavy emphasis on the action. So it looks like it's going to be like a third-person action game, kind of in the same vein as Ghost of Tsushima, except it's a lot more quick. It's quick gameplay, quick action. I was thinking maybe it was like a Souls-like, but I don't know. Maybe it's more of a straightforward action game. I'm not really sure at this point. I mean, they showed a lot of trailer off. It was a 3-minute trailer, and like, yeah, it looks impressive. Looks interesting. I'm just wondering how all this is going to work together. What's the button presses to do this? What's the button press to slice somebody in half while you're on a cherry? I'm not sure. What I do know though is that the game looks pretty stellar, and that's going to be coming. I believe they revealed that it was going to be coming like next year or something like that. So it will be on PS5. No other consoles revealed yet for it. I'm guessing it's not going to be a PS5 exclusive, but you never know. Looks pretty good though. Very interested in that on a rewatch. Another surprising reveal was the Talos Principle 2. I kind of figured that they were going to be making another Talos Principle because the first one is very popular. It's a very popular first-person puzzle game. I never got through the entirety of the first game because it is a very in-depth, like difficult puzzle game. But I am very interested in seeing how this new one's going to be. They have obviously taken a while to make it and create these new puzzles. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, visually it looks pretty stunning if we are to believe that this is actual in-game cutscenes and stuff. Ooh, excuse me, and stuff like that. So I'm interested in that. That's supposed to be coming later this year as well. So maybe I should jump on Talos Principle before this game comes out. There'll be new gameplay elements such as gravity manipulation and mind transference. But we'll let you discover the intricacies of these unique mechanics for yourself. So there you go. Pretty interesting there. Next up, from the maker of Grease. I guess it's not Grice or Gris, it's Grease. It's a game called Neva, which kind of sounds like that Design the Skyline album name. Neva is, they didn't really show much of what the game is going to be. I'm guessing it's going to be another one of those, like, hold the right stick to the right, and do a few jumps here and there. Maybe some combat mixed in there because the trailer was very combat heavy. But essentially it looks like some sort of darkness is taking over the land, and you need to guide this young wolf pup or whatever with antlers, maybe to, I don't know, somewhere. Yeah, I mean the art style looks really good. It looks just like Grease, maybe a bit more polished here and there. But yeah, they didn't really show off too much about it. But we'll have to wait and see what the real game is going to be like. Sword of the Sea. Oh, this looks really good. So this is from the same people as Journey and Abzu, etc. Giant Squid Games. Essentially, it looks like you're playing Tony Hawk in a winding desert, but not really Tony Hawk. It looks like you get this like sword, and it's like a board underneath you that helps you glide along the various dunes and stuff like that. There's like a half pipe that you go up and down, which looks kind of interesting. Looks like there's also water sections as well in the game. So I mean, anything that comes from the people behind Journey and Abzu, like Giant Squid Games, always looks really good. The Pathless was okay. Visually it was stunning, but gameplay wise it wasn't that interesting to me personally. But this looks really good. This looks like another Journey or Abzu type game. So if you want to check this out, Sword of the Sea looks really, really interesting. A game called Tower of Fantasy is coming. It's a free anime online open world game. Not really much to say about that, except, okay. In Tower of Fantasy, you'll explore an adventure. You'll explore an adventure through a massive, custom-crafted open world Uh, yeah, it seems like this is not going to be my thing. You can customize your character and begin your journey as a wanderer in the verdant wastelands. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's a it's kind of like a Genshin Impact type game. If you're interested in that, check out the trailer for that. A PlayStation console exclusive called Ultros is coming next year, and the trailer that they showed off looks really good. It's got like this, I don't want to say stained glass style, but it kind of reminds me of something like that. Maybe more of like a. It's a very colorful game. You think of Hollow Knight with like the shadowy forefront and the colorful backgrounds. Except this is like way more colorful. There's way more colors in the spectrum here. Greens, reds, blues, all working together to make a very vibrant and looking, very good looking and flowing adventure. Looks like it's going to be maybe like a Metroidvania or something like that, 2D exploration game. But yeah, the visual style looks excellent. The creature design looks really weird and interesting. It looks like it's definitely going to be like a Hollow Knight type game, except much more colorful. If you want to check that out, the trailer looks really, really good. This is coming next year though, so got to wait a little while for this one. Night in the Woods is. Oh, I'm sorry. The Night in the Woods creator has revealed their new game called Revenant Hill. Essentially, this is going to be an adventure game with cats and witches, where you play as a cat who begins the journey to become a witch's familiar after his home burns down. How you get there appears to be up to you. It looks like you make your own choices along the way in a narrative driven adventure. If you've played Night in the Woods, you know the art style is very unique and very interesting. And this one continues that art style with it's the same art style essentially, but it looks really good. So there's that. Not sure how the game is going to work or anything like that. It looks like it's going to be a very narrative heavy experience, but if you want to check out that trailer, it's available now. It does look very interesting. Does seem very interesting. Oh man. Next up, Cat Quest: Pirates of the Caribbean. This is in the same vein as other Cat Quest games. It's like a game where you play as the cat on like a map almost, and then you fight enemies. And this one has a pirate theme to it, so it's speaking to me a little bit here. Yeah, it looks like you go from area to area with your pirate ship, and then there's also like dungeons you can do and stuff like that. Looks like it's coming in 2024. So if you want to check that out, the trailer looks okay. You can wishlist it now if you want to. But yeah, this is coming in 2024. Looks good. Looks interesting. Dragon's Dogma 2. This was a pretty big reveal. They showed off some gameplay for Dragon's Dogma 2, which the last one was like 11 years ago or something like that. Looks like it's going to be a very polished looking game, visually. They showed a lot of like magic abilities and stuff like that. If you're a fan of Dragon's Dogma, definitely check out this trailer. I'm sure there'll be more coming along soon, but looks like it's gonna be a very vast and open adventure. Lots of really interesting stuff going on in this trailer. Hard for me to explain, but there's a lot of mythical creatures, a big booby harpy, a dragon, a troll, all the stuff that you expect from a medieval fantasy game. A game called Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. It's another anime aesthetic kind of game. Kind of like it's almost like steampunky in a way. There's like flying ships and stuff like that. Massive enemies. Looks like you play with a group of heroes. No release date just yet, but it did get a release window. It's targeting a 2023 release. So probably towards winter, it says. Yeah, I mean, not much to say about this one. It looks like your average, action adventure JRPG kind of game. But if you're interested in that, please check it out. Please check it out. For me, Final Fantasy 16 had a trailer done. Nothing really new to talk about here. Just it looks really good still. I think they had a bit more story going on in this trailer. If you want to check that out, I don't want to spoil anything if you're trying to be like completely zero information. But this looks pretty good. I'm happy to see more information about that. They showed off a trailer for the Plucky Squire, but no new information on when it's going to be releasing or a window or anything like that. The game still looks incredible. I'm still very excited for it. it's more of like what you want to see in a crazy wacky game like this. You're jumping out of the book, going into other books, grabbing items and bringing it back to said book, going across mugs and into dollhouses and stuff like that. Looks really, really good. I'm really excited for this, but still no confirmed release date, just a 2023 window. Resident Evil 4, excuse me, is getting a PSVR 2 mode. It's going to be DLC. Essentially, just like the original game's VR mode, it's completely turning the game on its heels and allowing you to do so much more with it. It's hard to say how this will exactly affect gameplay. Probably will feel a lot like the Resident Evil 8 VR mode, or maybe even Resident Evil 7. But yeah, a pretty interesting reveal there. Was not expecting this. But yeah, essentially, you play through the game in the VR perspective instead of in the first person or third person. So should be kind of interesting. No release date yet, but it is a free DLC. They're saying it's a free DLC. So once it comes out, you'll be able to play the game in its entirety in VR. But no confirmed release date yet. No release window either. Just know that it's coming to PSVR 2. Beat Saber is available for the PlayStation VR 2 right now. There's a free upgrade for people who already own the game on PlayStation VR, the original one. Also, it's launching with the music pack, the Queen music pack for $14. You'll get Another One Bites the Dust, Bohemian Rhapsody, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, Don't Stop Me Now, I Want It All, Killer Queen, One Vision, Somebody to Love, Stone Cold Crazy, We Are the Champions, and We Will Rock You, all available for Beat Saber in the music pack. Pretty cool that you're getting this for free if you already own the PSVR version, which I believe I do. Not sure how different the VR2 version will be. Maybe it'll look a little bit better, maybe play a little bit better. I don't know. Maybe a little bit less hassle to set it up, for sure. If you want to check that out, Beat Saber, it's available now. The indie physics sandbox game called Teardown is coming to PS5 and Xbox in the near future in 2023. This is like a heist game where essentially you break into a place, you grab the loot, and then you escape. It's a very much a sandbox. You could pretty much blow up and destroy anything on the map, except for maybe ground, the ground that you're on. So yeah, it looks kind of interesting. Never played it myself, but yeah, it's coming to PS5 this year. If you want to check that out when that comes around. Foam Stars. This is Square Enix's answer to Splatoon, essentially. The announcement trailer was weird. It actually dropped my grade for this state of play or PlayStation Showcase by like 1 letter grade because it's just so ridiculous, so stupid. But it also looks maybe a little bit unique. The foam kind of makes mountains and stuff like that, so you have more verticality to the game than Splatoon, I guess. But essentially, it is just Splatoon. I mean, there's a lot of moves that I recognize from Splatoon in here, so it's not like they're not even trying to hide the fact that this is like just a Splatoon ripoff. Maybe clone is a better way of saying that because it does look like it has a different style. The foam makes things a little bit different, but there's a lot of stuff that you will recognize in here that will tell you like, oh yeah, that's just Splatoon. So yeah, I'm not like super jazzed about this, but who wants foam? They also made sure to put the cute anime girl in the forefront for the trailer too. All right, Street Fighter 6 showed off a trailer. Not really much to say about this, just a little short story trailer. It's exactly what you expect. You essentially pick a trainer, and they teach you moves and stuff like that. So I'm guessing it's going to kind of be like that, where you choose a guy and kind of copy a move from their moveset, add it to your repertoire, and then eventually you fight the big bad guy and become a legend. There you go. Street Fighter 6. Five Nights at Freddy's had a reveal. Help Wanted 2 has been revealed that it's going to be coming out. This will be in development for PSVR 2, so it is a sequel to its other VR counterpart. In a blog post, they said it's improving on the original title. Help Wanted 2 introduces several brand new mini-games that bring you face-to-face with familiar characters and locations from the series' past. But all is not as it seems on the new job. It'll be up to you to brave through the horrors to try and figure out the truth. Nothing was really revealed other than the basic premise. So, the short cutscene was pretty much just like, "Hey, it's Help Wanted 2, baby," and that was it. That made everyone cream their pants. Arizona Sunshine 2 was revealed for the PSVR 2. It looks like they're taking the idea of like a truly gore-tastic experience like Dead Island 2 and turning it into a VR game. This trailer was chock full of energy and comedy and everything in between. And it looks like they're definitely improving on the original game. It looks like it's going to be more of like an open world kind of experience. If we are to believe what they're doing is real gameplay, being able to manipulate and move body parts and weapons and stuff like that in any way and in so many different fashions, plugging a zombie's mouth with a grenade and pulling the pin, kind of stuff like that. Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting experience. And also, you have a dog with you in the game, so what is not to love about that? The game is coming in 2023, so if you want to check that out, the trailer was pretty funny, pretty good. Not going to lie. Ghost Runner 2. Very, very excited about this. I love the original Ghost Runner game that came out in like 2020 or something like that. And Ghost Runner 2 was actually announced back in 2021, but now we're finally seeing gameplay footage for the game. It looks like there's going to be like a motorbike in the game, but it looks like it also has like the same like one-hit kill but be killed kind of stuff. I'm very excited for this. Didn't really see too much about it, but yeah, very excited about that. I really love the original Ghost Runner, so I can't wait for Ghost Runner 2. Immortals of Avium. This is a magic-wielding game, kind of like a first-person shooter, but you're using magic to shoot things, which I guess is different from your average first-person experience. So, yeah, I mean, it looks okay. I mean, they kind of made, like, this big deal. There's a lot of, like, light stuff going on and everything like that. But, yeah, I mean, it just looks fine. I'm not going to say anything too positive or negative about it. And finally for today, for this section, there's going to be a game called Towers of Aghaspa coming out. This game kind of reminds me of like a Horizon type game where it's like a survival crafting experience though, and there's no robots. But essentially you build up like your town and you go underwater and above land and fight things, and there's a lot of cool visuals and spectacle that they showed off in the trailer. But essentially it looks like Horizon but with base building. And that's coming next year as well. So, all in all, what did I think of this showcase? I thought it was like a B, which I felt like that was a good number for it. It wasn't really until more than halfway through that we finally were getting like actual reveals that I was like really excited for or really wanting. There's a couple VR games that looked interesting. We got some looks at some other ones as well. But there was some good trailers in here, but a lot of stuff that was not coming until next year, which for a PlayStation showcase, I understand you want to show off things that are coming out that are very interesting or maybe interesting looking, but I would love to see more games coming later this year than next year. You know what I'm saying? And that was a big thing. Plucky Squire not giving us a release date. Why even show it at that point? But there was some really interesting stuff that happened in here. Marvel Spider-Man 2, like I said, knocked that up a whole grade. Metal Gear Solid remake confirmed. The Marathon coming back. Helldivers coming back, Assassin's Creed Mirage, Alan Wake 2, VR version for Resident Evil 4. A lot of good stuff in here. So I'm giving it a high B. I thought it was pretty good. If you want to check out the whole thing, obviously you can watch it on YouTube. All right, here's a roundup for everything that was announced at the Warhammer Showcase, or whatever they called it. The Warhammer Skulls Showcase in 2023. Lots of Warhammer stuff. If you want to check out anything, just go ahead and go over to the Warhammer YouTube channel or the Focus Home Entertainment YouTube channel and check out these trailers. One game called Warhammer Age of Sigmar, Realms of Ruin. Wage a campaign of brutal conquest in a realm-shattering real-time strategy game set in the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Nuts universe. Command 4 unique factions in a dynamic battle as part of a story-driven campaign, and test your mettle against warlords from afar in online multiplayer. Pretty interesting. The trailer was a bit deceiving because it looks like a third-person action game, but it's actually a RTS, so there you go. They showed off new gameplay for Space Marine 2, which looked fantastic. The gunplay, the visuals, the thump, thump, thump of your feet. all stuff you really know and love from the original game. Looks even better in this one, so I'm very excited for that. Following Games Workshop's Skull Showcase, Focus Entertainment, and Saber and blah 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 blah. Okay, nothing new there. It's coming soon to PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC. Blood Bowl 3, they're adding in a new team called the Lizard Men. This new team will have people who look like chameleons and lizards. The Lizard Men, these cold-blooded creatures, are ready to take the field with their unique blend of strength and agility, making them formidable opponents in the Blood Bowl pitch. Now, I know Blood Bowl 3 was panned pretty critically. Angry Joe made an entire rant about the game. And you know what I say, yeah, I don't really mind Angry Joe, but when watching him kind of go deep into like the content that was locked behind paywalls and stuff like that was kind of deterred me from buying the game. If you want to check it out, though, be my guest. All right, there's a new content drop for Darktide coming out called Rejects Unite. This will be the latest update for Darktide, offering new content, including new missions, new enemies, and a revamped earnable cosmetic shop and more. So yeah, it looks like they're doing a bunch of stuff that people were asking for. First off, but yeah, this is one of those horde type games. But you're kind of like, I mean, it's kind of unique in a way that there's like a mix of I don't even know. Shut up, Yemmy. All right, moving on. Power Wash Simulator is getting some Warhammer 40k DLC to be announced, though, when that's going to be coming out. The trailer only showed off the power washing gun, pretty much revealing the Warhammer thingamajiggy. So maybe we'll be cleaning some, Space Marine armor. Maybe we'll be cleaning up corpses. I don't know. Yet to be seen. Warhammer 40k Battle Sector Orcs DLC is out now. This is new DLC for Warhammer 40k Battle Sector, introducing a new playable faction called the Orcs. Which, I mean, duh. Orcs are like huge in the Warhammer universe, but yeah. There you go. If you're a fan of that game, boom, bada bing, you can play as the Orcs now. New content for Vermintide 2. 3 newly remastered adventure maps from the fan-favorite DLC of the first Vermintide game, Karak Asgaras. So if you like the original game, you're getting some DLC maps from that. And then finally, we got some ultramarine colored controllers based on the Bolt Gun game that just came out in the Xbox Design Lab. You can pick your color scheme, including Xbox Wireless and Classic Ultramarines Blue, and first company-approved Stern Guard Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2 in white and blue. Pretty slick looking. Got some gold in there. Got some blue in there. Looks like it's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. All right, let's move on to the next part of the show, which is what have I been playing this past week? All right, I got 4 games to talk about today. I'm going to try and hit them out of the park here with these first impressions and reviews. The first game to talk about is the Lord of the Rings Gollum. That just came out this past week. And it's a game that I was interested in because we didn't really see much about it. What we did see was Gollum, or Schmeagol, climbing on walls, hiding from enemies, etc., etc. In the initial reveal trailer for this game, they showed off the choices you would be making. And what would happen, it would zoom in on Gollum's face. There would be multiple choices rotating around your head, and you would choose one. And they stripped that down completely in the final release. It's a very bare bones. It doesn't really matter for story stuff. Maybe you have one decision here or there, but other than that, it really doesn't make a difference. And the whole thing where like you convince Smeagol or you convince Gollum to do something or another thing was also stripped down completely. Just the most bare bones thing ever. Like think of the Life is Strange Before the Storm, where you would play as Chloe and like convince people to do stuff by, persuading them with strong arguments or whatever. Take that, but strip it down even more. And what do you got? You got Gollum. You got the Lord of the Rings Gollum here. I am very disappointed with this, not only because it was so much money to buy it. It was like a $50 game. But I'm also very disappointed that like the game just doesn't have a lot going on, If the game was at least interesting in the gameplay category, I can forgive it for its lackluster story, telling the story of what Gollum did before he hunted down Frodo and the Fellowship in the Fellowship of the Ring. Great. I'm interested in seeing how he escaped from Mordor, or whatever he did. Like it's an interesting concept, but the execution is very lacking here. The story is very lackluster. I would say the first 5 chapters of the game, maybe even 6 chapters of the game, are just you doing various tasks for the orcs, because you're a slave. So you pick up dead people's cards. You herd animals into cages. You do you do platforming across things to pull switches. You spy on someone for the Candleman, and it's just all these like mediocre tasks that make the experience really, really boring. And that first like couple hours of gameplay or couple chapters of gameplay of you just doing nothing really weighs this game down, in my opinion. If you're going with first impressions for this game, you're going to be very, very down in this game. You're probably going to call it the worst game that you've ever played, the worst game of the year. Is this game worse than Redfall? It's hard to compare the two, but I'm leaning towards yes. At least Redfall had some entertaining gunplay in there. At least it stimulated you a little bit. But this Gollum game is really just the bare bones experience that I was not expecting. I was expecting there to be more going on, but the trailers that they revealed to us slowly over the years, that's just it. Climbing and doing basic stealth and stuff like that. There's really not much going on. I mean, early on they introduced like, oh, you can kill orcs. Oh, you can hide in bushes. Oh, you can do this. And they completely forget about that for about 5 chapters in the game until you're finally trying to escape. And now, oh, yeah, you can kill orcs again. Oh, you can hide in bushes again. It's so annoying. If they had cut out like that first 5 chapters of the game, maybe keep chapter 1 as a prologue, If they cut out those chapters where you're stuck in the prison, that'd be great. Just cut right to when you're escaping, because that's when the game actually becomes interesting. When you're escaping Mordor, you're escaping the prison, you're escaping the Eye of Sauron, that's when the game gets interesting. You work with this dude to get out through the sewers. You go from cart to cart trying to hide from orcs. And then it all culminates with you leading the guy into Shelob's lair and either deciding to spare him or kill him with this giant spider. And that was all actually pretty well done. The visuals improved so much. The gameplay improved. It was still janky, but it improved. There was more going on. The story actually got interesting. And all culminated into that finale with Shelob, and you ran away from her and led her to the dude, if whatever. I thought the game was over at that point, but then it kept going. And now I'm in like the elvish woodlands, right? And now you're doing the same thing that you were doing in the prison, where you're just stealthing around enemies, quote unquote, elves, trying to escape. And it's the same fucking thing now. And even though it's more interesting because you're in like a different environment, the visuals are much more interesting. Like the visual style is supposed to be like this watercolor kind of like pasty looking, doughy looking type textures, which I think if they fully committed to that, it would have been fine. But there's so many things in Mordor that just look out of place, unnatural, bad, right? But then you go to the Elvish area and it all looks good. Like it looks good. Like it doesn't look bad at all. The textures look better. The graphics like meld with the characters. Everything looks natural. But you go back to Mordor, you think about Mordor and how it's all browns and blacks and grays and there's fire and blah blah blah. It just doesn't look good at all, and it actually hurts the game in general. Take out that Mordor section, boom, you have a much better game. You probably have a much better perspective of the graphics in this game, because make it past like the 7th chapter or get to the 6th chapter when you get out of the prison, and the visuals immediately become better because there's warm light flooding the area. Stuff isn't just brown and black. It actually looks vibrant and alive. And then you get to the Elvish area and it looks even better. The graphics definitely work better in a more brightly lit, greens and blues and shining water. Looks a lot better. Here's the big stinker though. Gollum, aka Smeagol, looks bad. I don't mind the character design, but the facial expressions, the voice acting. I apologize if you're listening to this and you did that stuff for the game. I'm not into it. I think that it's not that great. Now there was a reveal for a Lord of the Rings MMO kind of game, and they had a Gollum voice, and it sounded terrible. It definitely sounds better than that, and I think the difference between Smeagol and Gollum are pretty good, you know. But I think in general, how they wrote Gollum, not that great. How they animated Gollum, not that great. The animation style, for like the look of Gollum, you know how he animates, not good at all. Like you get zoom in, you get like these zoom in portraits of his face, and he's talking, and it's cool because his pupils go big and small when he's talking as Gollum or Smeagol. You know, his facial expressions change pretty well. But after he is done talking, Gollum or Smeagol, he reverts back to a default face every single time. There's no fluid animation between Smeagol and default face, Gollum and default face. So it's just a very jarring switch. And that definitely could have been smoothed out if they just took more time with the game. This is one of those games that had several delays, and you're like, okay, they're going to be improving the game. They're going to be making these animations look better. They're going to be doing this. They're going to be doing that. What did they do with that time is beyond me, because the game came out in a state that is just really not that appealing, you know? I think they were focusing on that second later half of the game because they knew that the graphics and the story and the characters worked better in the second half of the game rather than that first half of the game where you're playing, you know, in the prison. You know, the characters' movements look more natural. The lighting is much better. The style looks better. You know, like the story is actually more interesting now. And like they spent like they hardly like it feels like they cobbled together the first half of this game in Mordor because they needed a padding. They needed to make the game longer. And what that does is now these people who play like the first hour or two of the game go, wow, this sucks. I'm done with this. And then they don't make it to the second half of the game, which is actually worth playing, in my opinion. The second half of the game so far has been entertaining. It's been interesting. It looks better. It plays a little bit better. I mean, it's still janky, like I said before. It's still janky. Like sometimes Gollum won't grab onto things, or like a thing will look way too high to jump to, but then you can jump to it, and he randomly latches himself to it. So it's like there's still stuff like that that makes the experience still lesser, but it's an improvement. So instead of this game being like a 1 out of 5, it's actually more of like a 2 out of 5 now for me personally. The second half of the game has definitely improved my standings with the game, and I think it's definitely bettering my experience. We'll see if it continues that. I stopped a little bit into the elf area. But now I kind of see where that DLC with the elfish voices, I kind of see where that was used here and there, but there's not enough elvish language to justify the $3 price tag for that DLC, right? It is literally hardly any elfish language in this game. And I find it so weird that they wouldn't put it into the game in the first place. Like, if you're Gollum, you probably, I mean, Gollum, does he understand Elvish? No, because when they speak Elvish, he doesn't understand it. Even the subtitles aren't translated. So why would these elves be standing around talking English when they're around elves? I understand when Gandalf's there. I understand. They'd be speaking English to him. So that voice pack really kind of makes the experience kind of bland, because now instead of hearing the elvish language, the beautiful elven language, now we're just hearing English and the drab subjects that these elves are talking about while you sneak past them. So that actually makes the experience lesser, having that DLC picked out and having a price tag on it. I'm playing it without the DLC. I'm not giving them any more money at this point. You know? So it's unfortunate that that they chose to do that, because it actually makes the experience lesser. I would rather hear the elvish language when these elves are talking to each other than English. It's kind of ridiculous to me, in a lot of ways, actually playing it and going, you could have just made this 1% more interesting by having them speak the elven language. You know, that would have been so much more interesting to me personally. Because the subjects that they're talking about while you pass them are just like, hey, how are your parents doing? Oh, hey, don't forget to do this. Hey, it's been a really great time fishing. Like, It's stuff that I don't care about, but if you put in the Elvish language and I don't understand it, boom, way more interesting. You don't know what they're talking about, and you just hear this language. So yeah, it's really, really deters the experience having that DLC taken out, slashed out of the game, picked out of the game, for no reason other than a money grab, a deluxe edition, for stupid. So yeah, the main crux of the gameplay is like the climbing and the jumping and the sneaking. Mostly climbing and jumping though, and that works half the time. I've had times where I'm not really sure where to go, and like the game like just keeps killing me again and again and again. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? There's like sections like that, and then you finally realize what you're supposed to do, and you're like, oh, I can jump there, or I can do that. There's a lot of stuff like that. I feel like they designed this game pretty poorly in that and in the level design area, because there's some things that look like they're too high to jump to, and you probably normally wouldn't be able to jump to that. The jumps that you've been doing throughout the game are, they're fairly large, but like you look at something and you go, wow, that's way too high up, and then you try and jump to it, and all of a sudden Smeagol, he's able to jump so high and grab onto that ledge. Okay, whatever. Once you learn that you can do that, then the stuff becomes way less obscure. But the jumping and the climbing are still really janky. Like you try and jump from one ledge to another, or you try and do more advanced techniques like a wall run into a jump. It just doesn't work. And there was one point where they wanted me to do a wall run, like a straight up wall run, and then a backwards jump. And I just could not get Gollum to do it. I was spamming square, I was spamming jump. I was trying to get him to do whatever I could to get around to jump backwards and jump onto the ledge. So what happened was I was running up and I was just spamming the jump button, and I was able to jump high and onto the next ledge. So I completely bypassed an entire section of the game. And I was like, oh, that's not how they wanted me to do it, but that's how I got it done. And I'm okay with that. There's another thing in this game that is very interesting, but they've fumbled completely. You can pick up like worms and bugs and stuff like that to eat and restore your health. I think it would have been a lot better of an idea to have to use health healing items more often, because as it stands, you barely have to heal in this game if you don't fuck up, or if the game doesn't fuck up, right? And when you get caught by an orc or whatever, it's an instant kill. If you fall from a great height, it's an instant kill. There's hardly anything in this game that will hurt you other than like a little bit of a too high of a fall. And even then, you're not going to be doing that too often unless the game decides to fuck you. So this idea of like picking up bugs and eating them as Gollum or Smeagol, kind of wasted, honestly, in my opinion. There's also obviously a stone throwing mechanic to distract guards. They will only walk away from their position if you hit something with the rocks, like a metal object that's predetermined to be there, which is also pretty annoying. You can't just distract a guard by throwing a rock, and they don't walk over there unless they already notice you, which is really stupid. So let me explain it a little bit more. If you just throw a rock willy-nilly, they'll go, huh? But they won't walk over to where the rock was. If their meter fills up to yellow, which means they've noticed you and they're going to walk towards you, if you throw a rock after that, they will go, huh? And then they will actually walk towards the rock. If their meter turns red, then they will actively try and get you and shoot you with crossbow bolts and whatever, and that's usually an instant kill. The third thing is like hitting something metal, like there's these metal cauldrons that are on fire. You can hit those with metal, they'll go up to it and go, what the fuck, Or if you hit a lamp and turn it off, they'll walk up to it and say, what's going on? So the stealth is really bare bones. The climbing is really annoyingly janky and bare bones. The story is very bare bones. The whole game in general just feels bare bones. And the PC release for this game was obviously bugged. The Switch release for this game looked terrible. And it's not much else is going on for the PS5 or Xbox releases. At least at least my game hasn't crashed yet. I guess there's a silver lining there. There's also collectibles to find throughout the game, but it's not like you can like inspect them and look at them in your inventory or anything like that. They're just kind of like you just pick them up and Gollum says something or Smeagol says something, and then you move on. And that's kind of annoying to me. It's like, okay, I spent some time to get this item out. I went out of my way. All you give me is a single line, and then I'm done. Like, okay, thanks. So yeah, in general, I'm disappointed with the game. The second half of the game has been much better than the first half, but I had to get through several hours, like 3 hours of gameplay to get, they're 2 hours of gameplay to get to it. Kind of rough, and it's a hard ask. I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings. I love the movies. I've read The Hobbit. I like the animated movies. I think they're great. This game takes more from the books, so like the designs of the characters, orcs and stuff like that, it's all more book related. So you're not going to recognize a lot of the stuff that a lot of the characters or something like that, which is nice. It's a different aesthetic than you were used to. At least Gandalf pretty much looks like Gandalf, but a lot of other characters look different. And they obviously they'll throw like these Easter eggs in there as well. Like you go into this area inside the prison and they're building the siege towers that they're going to use at Minas Tirith in Return of the King. They're building the big battering ram with the wolf face on it. Which are those are interesting things, and I like that. It's interesting. It's a cool visual, but it's not that interesting to platform around it and have like fixed camera angles. Like, look, did you see the wolf head? This is in the movie. This is in the movie later. This is it's like, okay, I get it. I don't care, but I get it. So yeah, I'm interested to see how the game's gonna finish up. I think I have like 4 or so more chapters left, but it's really been like a very disappointing experience, especially with the whole decision making thing and the mechanic where you have to talk with Smeagol or talk with Gollum as Smeagol and convince them to do something. It's so bare bones. It's even worse than the Life is Strange Beyond the Storm stuff, which is kind of the lowest of the low. And like that visual flair of having the things you can say circling around your head, and the having to convince Gollum by choosing the right thing while it's circling around your head, that's all gone. And that would have made the game a lot better. It would have been harder to keep track of what you want to say. It would have been a challenge to convince Gollum if you have like all these different things floating around, and maybe you say the wrong thing on accident because the wrong thing is in the forefront. That would have been much better of an experience. But as it stands right now, cannot recommend this. Definitely wait for a sale. And if you're a fan of Lord of the Rings, this untold story of Gollum, I think you can kind of guess how it goes just from using your imagination. But I won't give it away. So yeah, right now, not recommended until a sale comes around. At least Redfall was on Game Pass. That's the one saving grace for Redfall. It was on Game Pass, so I didn't have to spend any money for that. But I'm a sucker because I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings, and I'm a sucker. I'm a big old dummy. All right, moving on. Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. I was excited for this game. It's a boomer shooter. It has a pixel art aesthetic. You use the various weapons of the Space Marines, and you conquer cultists and demons on your journey to get stuff for the Grand Inquisitor, or whatever they're called. So yeah, you essentially fight through cultists, chaos, space marines, demons, toads, all these different enemies in a boomer shooter format. So you have the bolt gun, you have the regular bolt gun, you have a shotgun, you have a plasma rifle, and you have like a heavy bolt gun. And those have pretty much been the only weapons I've seen so far. I'm not done with the first segment of the game yet, but I've been playing for a couple hours now, and these chapters are really long. The one thing that's holding me back from truly loving this game is the level design and how each level just feels the same. You go up and down elevators, you're in like these same areas, you're getting the same keys to unlock the same doors. It doesn't do enough to really make itself different. It just, every area kind of looks the same. Sometimes you get a snow area, sometimes you start on a cliff face, sometimes you have some green goo on the walls, but in the end, throughout these levels, you will go to the same looking areas with a bit of a different layout. And that's unfortunate because I'm enjoying the gameplay. I think the game's great. There's a taunt button. If you press triangle, you can taunt your enemies, which does nothing really. But your Space Marine will give out these quips and actually quotes from various other games too. The bolt gun feels good. The shotgun feels good. The plasma rifle feels good. The heavy bolt gun feels even better. And they all have their different uses. But the main thing that I'm concerned about is longevity. You know, will I be playing this game in a couple weeks and still feeling high on it? And I already gotta say, no, I don't think so. I think that this is I think it's a good game in general. It's a good boomer shooter in general. But the thing that really brings this game down is the fact that every area looks the same. It doesn't have a lot of variety in the enemies so far. Um, and I just feel like I feel like I'm treading water here. I've gone through so many levels, and I feel like I've made no progress in the story. I haven't even gotten to the end of the first chapter of the game, which is mind-boggling to me because I've played like 10 or 15 levels so far. And the ending bosses and stuff like that, they're just bullet sponges. There's really no unique stuff about them. They're big and they got a lot of health. If you use the heavy bolt gun, you can melt their health bar. I think I'm a bit more down on this game than I am positive right now, and I think it's mostly because it's just kind of been like a samey kind of experience, you know? Even though the gameplay is good, the sound effects are great, the soundtrack is amazing, the different areas you go to just are not selling me on the game. And, you know, every so often they'll stop you to do like a cleansing, you know, you got to kill all the enemies in an area. That becomes a little bit annoying when it happens over and over again, one after the other. You know, there was this really cool bridge area that had like holes in it. I thought that was a pretty cool aesthetic. If you fell, it was an instant death, or you could have the enemies fall. But other than that, there's really been nothing to really, you know, bring me out of my seat and go, whoa, you know. Um, and I don't think it's a problem with me not being like that into Warhammer because I love Space Marine. You know, it's a bit of a bit of a, you know, hidden gem, I guess you could say. You know, so I mean I don't mind the Warhammer universe. It's just this game has just kind of been a bit of like a slow burn in terms of story and you know, just having something new happen. You know, there's been really nothing new that's been added to the game since I've started playing. So all in all, Bolt Gun, if you like Warhammer, you're probably gonna really like this game. If you like boomer shooters, it's a pretty good boomer shooter. The one annoying thing is there's no like one quick press button for like melee. You have to like charge your chain sword and then melee. And then you gotta mash L2 to keep meleeing, you know, if an enemy has more health. Which I don't mind, but it's one of those things that I'm so used to Doom or Quake or something like that where it's like a real, you know, everything's real quick and precise. And in Bolt Gun, everything's kind of like lackadaisical. You know, your character kind of meanders around, and he's got those heavy footsteps that you know and love. But for a boomer shooter, you got to go a little bit faster. The turning speed of your character is so slow if you don't change up the sensitivity. You know, there's so many things that are kind of wrong about this game, but it still is a good game. You know, it's still worth your time. It's only like $20, you know. But at this point, I would say wait for a sale to try it out because even though it's good, it's a bit one note so far. And that's the worst thing for me personally because, you know, I can play a game like Gollum. Yeah, at least the areas are changing, right? But in Bolt Gun, everything just feels the same, and I feel like I'm just treading water. You know what I'm saying? So, not a full recommend for me, but if you like Warhammer, you like boomer shooters, give it a try. On the streaming side of things, we finished Tales from the Borderlands recently. It was a nice playthrough. I have the same issue with this game that I have with any Telltale game that came out during this time, which is your choices really don't matter. You know, there is a very much an illusion of choice throughout the game. At least this one has some specific things that are tied to certain characters. And even though I try to do different things than I did back in the day when I originally played it, nothing really seemed to change to my liking, and I wasn't able to use more characters, and I was really annoyed. I was trying to save my money throughout the game. I was trying to do all these different things to get more characters at the end, but I couldn't do it because the game is really it's very obscure at what exactly you need to do in order to get a character to show up at the end. With Zero, you gotta tell him you're a vault hunter. Like, when did that happen? You know, with the Doctor, you have to like, I know when that happened, but you gotta like. I don't get it. I think in general it's a good game for a Borderlands game. It's, you know, it's got that humor and it's got that style. Obviously the gameplay is, you know, it's actually a little bit better than most Telltale games in a way where it's like it's not all just walking around and seeing things. There's there's interactions that you do that are much more in depth than other Telltale games. I mean, there's a whole section of the game where you're shooting finger guns at people, which is really entertaining. It's got that charm of a Borderlands experience in a Telltale game. And the reason why we played this game is because I recently got the new Tales from the Borderlands, which was made by 2K Games officially. There was no fingerprints from Telltale, and I just wanted to play this one to kind of get a feel for the series again and hopefully compare it to the new Tales from the Borderlands, which we'll probably play in July, honestly, because June is a special month, if you don't know. But yeah, I think it's fine. It's probably one of the better Telltale games, but even then, it still has those glaring problems with any Telltale game that I don't enjoy. So in general, I think it's like a B tier. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It's worth playing, but I have problems with it that probably other people don't. But it's a general issue with Telltale and their games in general. Also, it's kind of crazy that a lot of these characters don't come back. Reese and Vaughn are the only characters who come back who are new characters from this game. I know a lot of them die, but there's also other characters like, oh, why didn't Fiona come back? Why didn't this person come back? Why did this guy come back? I don't know. And also, this game marks a lot of characters like the last time you see them, which is also kind of weird. I think Shade never comes back in another Borderlands game, but he has a segment in this one. Obviously, Scooter dies in this game, which is kind of crazy to think about, which also is a reason why I think of this one a little bit higher than other Telltale games, because consequences actually happen for the main games and main story, which is kind of crazy. You don't expect that in a Telltale game, Crazy that they got the allowance to do that, But yeah, there's a lot of characters who just kind of like, they're there, or they're never really seen again, But yeah, that's a B tier kind of game, Tales from the Borderlands. And then finally, we played Pirates of the Caribbean: The Legend of Jack Sparrow. Going into this game, I knew that it was like a hack and slash kind of game. I didn't realize how God of War clone it was until I started playing it. Essentially, it's literally just a hack and slash like God of War. You open chests like God of War. You have combos like God of War. It's all in the Pirates universe, and it's loosely based on the first movie, Curse of the Black Pearl. And essentially, you loosely go through the events of the story while also having all these different events going on as well. These new events that you never heard of. So, it starts off pretty on the, pretty in a pretty good spot where like, yeah, this is definitely the story of the game or the movie and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it pivots and Jack starts telling a story about how he went to China and defeated these like guards who were spirits and like a giant dragon. And you're like, okay, it's cool, but okay. And then it pivots again where it's like, oh, we got stuck in the Arctic and now we're beating frozen Vikings. And you're like, okay. And then you get trapped on the island, the Rum Island, and now you're battling giant spiders and sand monsters. And then it all culminates with the end. You fight Captain Barbossa, who is like the most tanky enemy I've ever faced in my life. His health bar is crazy big. And then the finale is you escape the noose. You escape the noose. Essentially, the whole game was a story that Jack was telling to bide time for their escape. You beat the ending boss. This is like a trio fight, and then you destroy the fort, and then you leave, and that's the end of the game. In general, I do think it's a hidden gem. I think that this game plays pretty well. It's a pretty goofy and fun experience. It definitely doesn't take itself seriously. Sure, it's a little janky here or there, and yeah, sure, the story beats are kind of weird, and there's some enemies who are much more annoying than others. But in general, I think it's a great tie-in game. I think it's actually a bit of a hidden gem on the PS2, and you can actually buy it. You can still buy it now for pretty cheap. It's like $12. There's a guy on eBay who was selling brand new sealed copies that were never sold, and it's crazy. It's crazy. So if you want to check it out, I definitely would recommend checking it out if you have a PS2 or if you want to emulate it. That's fine too. I think it's a pretty fun experience. It's a little glitchy, a little janky, but in general, I think it was pretty good. And you might enjoy it yourself if you like God of War or hack and slash type games. And I'm going to put it in the B category. Pretty good for a tie-in game. All right, let's move on to the next part of the show, which is What's in the News. All right, first up, Sony put out, or not Sony, but Naughty Dog put out a statement about the multiplayer mode for The Last of Us Part 2, which was called Factions, Last of Us Factions. Essentially, Naughty Dog put out a random tweet with a update about the game, and it's because they were sort of forced to do this because Bloomberg actually put out a report talking about how the game was in dire straits. The Naughty Dog tweet reads as follows. Give me a second to load it here. The Last of Us fans, we know many of you have been looking forward to hearing more about our Last of Us multiplayer game. We're incredibly proud of the job the studio has done so far, but as development has continued, we've realized that what is best for the game is to give it more time. Our team will continue to work on the project as well as our other games in development, including a brand new single-player experience. We look forward to sharing more soon. We're grateful to our fantastic community for your support. Thank you for your passion for our games. It continues to drive us. So essentially, I mean, what this tells us is that like they are definitely not putting all their time into this multiplayer experience, and it seems like they're going to be putting more more members on this new single-player game, which could be Last of Us Part 3, could be a completely new thing, new IP. We'd have to wait and see on that. Essentially, what happened, though, reports say that the leader of Bungie, who was the lead behind the Destiny game, obviously, he actually came into the studio and played a bit of the multiplayer game and said that it was needed more time. He said that it was a pretty lackluster experience, and he also brought up thoughts about the longevity of the game and making sure that players get the most time out of it that they can. So essentially what this means is that they're probably going to be working more on this game, but it also could mean that they are going to be taking members away from this Factions game, and eventually it'll be silently canceled and we will never hear from it again. I had predicted that we would hear something about the multiplayer mode at the PlayStation Showcase that came out on Wednesday, but almost immediately after, following that, the day after, they revealed that it's been a bit of trouble, and we might never see it. What was this faction game going to be, you might ask? Well, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be some sort of battle royale in the Last of Us universe with the Last of Us controls, which I thought might be pretty good. They showed off some key art with like the cruise ship and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely like a place that you would battle somebody inside for the loot or something like that, And I'm sure that there would be like, infected around and stuff like that, clickers and stuff, kind of mixing up the gameplay. You're able to have a clicker go and attack another, group of people. You can lead them to them. I think that would be kind of cool. But as it stands, seems like this is not going to be around anytime soon, and it could possibly be on the way to being canceled. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. KOTOR did not appear at the PlayStation Showcase like I predicted, but we did get an update from the development studio saying that the development was well on its way and that they were just deep in the middle of the development process. So that's why we did not see anything recently in the PlayStation Studio announcements. So we'll have to wait for more information on that. Maybe they revealed it way too early. They probably revealed it way too early, much like with most games. So they're knee-deep in development of the game. So we will wait to hear or see more about that in the future. Let's take a step back real quick. Lord of the Rings Gollum. The studio behind the game, was it Nacon? Put out a statement saying that they were sorry for the game and how it came out. In the statement, they said, "Dear players, we would like to sincerely apologize for the underwhelming experience many of you have had with the Lord of the Rings Gollum upon its release. We acknowledge and deeply regret that the game did not meet the expectations we set for ourselves and for our dedicated community. Please accept our sincere apologies for any disappointment this may have caused. Our goal as a studio as a passionate Lord of the Rings fans always have been to tell a compelling and immersive story-driven adventure. Crafting a story with Middle-earth as our playground has been the greatest honor and the biggest challenge we have faced so far. At Daedalic, we understand that the game's success relies on the enjoyment and satisfaction of its players. We genuinely value your feedback and have been actively listening to your voices, reading your comments, and analyzing the constructive criticism and suggestions you have provided. Our development team have been working diligently to address the bugs and technical issues many have experienced. We are committed to providing you with patches that will allow you to play and enjoy the game to its fullest potential. Once again, we deeply apologize for any inconvenience caused, and we appreciate the understanding during this time. We will continue to keep you updated on our progress and provide transparent communications regarding upcoming patches and improvements. Thank you for your support, Daedalic Entertainment. So this, of course, just piles on to the other Twitter posts of the same kind from other studios like Redfall, dating all the way back to Cyberpunk and Bethesda with Fallout 76, Forspoken, Halo Infinite, Jedi Fallen Order and its release date, and now Gollum has joined the ranks alongside The Last of Us, actually, strangely enough, almost on the same day. Why the team had to come out and apologize is not so sure to me. Apologize about the state that the game was in. I mean, you guys just made an abysmal kind of game, and you delayed it for so long. Like, they could have delayed it again. Delay it for another year. I don't care. Just put out a game that's relatively playable. But my new theory is that they needed to push this game out, get paid on it, to start work on their next Lord of the Rings game, which was recently revealed by Daedalic that they are working on another Lord of the Rings game, codenamed It's Magic. It's going to be a 3D action adventure game that will transport the character into a lush world full of mythical creatures and magic. Apparently, a German language publication points out that Daedalic took roughly 2 million euros to fund from the German government to fund the Gollum project. So I'm guessing that they are taking that and more for this 3D action adventure game. According to the description of the project from the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action of Germany, it says that it will tell a story from a perspective of a character which has not been told before. So yeah, they I think they're dumping the Gollum game. They're saying we can't delay it anymore. We just got to put it out and maybe fix it while we go. And it's probably because they want to put more people onto this new 3D action adventure game that they're going to be producing, which is kind of shady. It's almost like the guys who did the final, season of the Game of Thrones were just pushing out some shit because they wanted to make a Star Wars project that they were put on, and then they were fired from that. So, because Daedalic has the Lord of the Rings IP, they have all the information they need. They have contact with the, Cerulean people, or whatever you want to say, the J.R.R. Tolkien people. They just went on and they're like, yeah, Gollum, here it is. Let's move on to this other game, which is kind of annoying to me personally. Like, finish the game you're working on. Worry about the game you're working on. Yeah, you'll get paid for this. Yeah, you're probably going to make some money, but the damage that has been caused to your studio and to your reputation is not going to be fixable, especially within the next couple of years while you try and hype up this next game. It's people are not going to be behind it, and I can guarantee that the next game that they make is probably going to sell pretty poorly unless they actually show us truly good gameplay. The main concern going into the Gollum was we didn't see much gameplay. We haven't seen, what is this game? What is this going to be like? What is going on here? Hopefully with this next game, they're more transparent about it. They show the game before they release it. And hopefully it's in a better state when it launches. The Dolphin emulator has been taken down by DMCA. Not in general, but on the Steam release has been taken down. Back in March, the team announced that the GameCube and Wii emulator called Dolphin will be released on Steam for free, I think, right? And they had all these different images of a Nintendo-looking kind of game, stuff like that. But they came out in a statement saying that with much disappointment, they have to announce that the Dolphin on Steam release has been indefinitely postponed. We are notified by Valve that Nintendo has issued a DMCA against Dolphin's Steam page and have removed Dolphin from the Steam until the matter is settled. We are currently investigating our options and will have a more in-depth response in the near future. We appreciate your patience in the meantime. In the description of Steam, they said hey, this software does not come with any games. You need to own an original copy of the game to play whatever. The game was also promised to support 4K displays, modern controllers, and NetPlay with fully open source code, and it was a free download, of course. There are other emulators on Steam like RetroArch and stuff like that, but it seems like Dolphin emulator is hitting too close to home for Nintendo. A data miner and Nintendo Life user named Luigi Blood highlighted a part of the DMCA, revealing that the Wii common key in the source code of the Dolphin emulator was the problem. The Dolphin emulator operates by incorporating these cryptographic keys without Nintendo's authorization and decrypting the ROMs at or immediately before runtime. This is obviously not going to fly with Nintendo, even though a lot of this code is available to use. I believe because they are using a Wii source code, that is where the main problem lies. So if they change that, if they do their own thing, maybe they'll be able to get this on board. But as of right now, it seems like the Dolphin emulator will not be coming to Steam, which would have made it one of the most readily available emulators out there that people know. You know, not many people know the names of emulators, but Dolphin, that's a pretty common household video game name. All right, the Xbox Game Showcase in 2023 will be shown in 25 different movie theaters across the United States on June 11th, whether it be on Twitch, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, or yes, in a local movie theater. You can check out the Xbox Game Showcase along with the Starfield Direct, which is immediately after the Xbox Game Showcase. To receive a ticket and passcode for the event, you need to sign up at Xbox FanFest by May 31st at xbox.com/fanfest. Ticket details will be sent on June 1st. Ticket sites open on June 2nd. Tickets are free and will be first come, first served basis. So yeah, I guess it's not detailed where these theaters are going to be located. Probably across the U.S., but kind of a weird thing to do. With it being so readily available across, streaming platforms, kind of a weird thing to put it in theaters, but whatever. Kind of interesting. You'll get $10 worth of snacks to use on whatever you want, though, if you sign up. So it's probably going to be a big chain movie theater. Probably Atlas or something like that. Not Atlas, Regal or something like that. Speaking of the movie theaters, the Mario movie is now the third biggest animated movie of all time. It just surpassed Incredibles 2, which made $1.243 billion globally. So yeah, Mario has officially gone past $1.248 billion. The only animated movies that are ahead of it right now are Frozen 1, which made $1.284 billion, and Frozen 2, which made $1.45 billion. It's already expected to pass at least Frozen 1, but it's already passed things like Toy Story 3, Lion King, Finding Nemo, Despicable Me, Minions, etc., etc. So, yeah, pretty crazy. It's the biggest. It's probably gonna be one of the biggest animated movies ever, which is kind of crazy because I do think that it's like a 3.5 out of 5, But hey, it did its job, and it's making tons of money, and I'm sure that there's gonna be plenty more movies coming out in the Nintendo universe. Keeping on the Nintendo train, Nintendo of Japan has told people that repairs for Wii U and the Wii U accessories will be going away. It's already been gone in the US and Europe for a while, but apparently in Japan, there were still parts available in the inventory that they were restocking for Japanese Wii U's. But now they've said when the Wii U parts and gamepad parts and accessory parts run out, there will be no more maintenance on the devices. They will officially not be repairing gamepads, systems, etc. So they say they apologize for the inconvenience that this may cause. So as of right now, if you're in Japan, you can still send your Wii U to Nintendo and have it fixed. But once those parts run out, then it's going to be cut. And like I said, it's already been gone from the US and Europe for a while, so this is the last major stock of Wii U parts. Obviously, you can still go to local shops and get it repaired if you're trusting, But yeah, it's kind of interesting to note that the shop went down before the system parts became extinct. All right, let's go ahead and get to the last part of the show, which is what's coming soon. All right, there was a big spotlight for Alone in the Dark on THQ Nordic's YouTube channel. Alone in the Dark. This is a reboot, which is coming out on the 25th of October, 2023. In the showcase, they showed off a lot of gameplay and what was happening with the story. Essentially, it's an over the shoulder kind of game like Resident Evil. People have been calling it like a Walmart Resident Evil at times. I'm not sure about that. I mean, I think the graphics look pretty good. Obviously, there's some stuff like that we didn't really see. Like we didn't really see any combat, even though we know one of the characters has a gun. We know there's going to be puzzles in the game, a la Resident Evil style. So yeah, this Alone in the Dark game. There's actually a demo available right now. If you want to check that out, it's the prologue, which will get you kind of into the characters and the basics of the gameplay. This game is loosely inspired by the 1992 original. You'll be able to get your first taste of the title as part of a demo available today on the PlayStation Store. The prologue stars supporting character Grace Saunders has been inspired by Alone in the Dark's 2's infamous Jack in the Dark demo. And while the gameplay there's not much gameplay. Obviously, it'll differ from the main game that you play. It'll be nice to explore the chilling backdrop of the Derceto Mansion, which is where the game's going to be based. So yeah, definitely inspired by recent games like Resident Evil. If you want to watch the whole showcase, it's on THQ Nordic's YouTube channel for Alone in the Dark. I think they've done a pretty good job of giving this game a glow up, kind of like how Resident Evil did to Resident Evil 2, 3, and I guess 4. But yeah, if you want to check this out, demo's available now, and the YouTube video is pretty interesting if you want to check that out. New DLC is coming to Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope called The Last Spark Hunter. In this update, the development team is teasing the second DLC. In this one, you're going to be going to a place called the Melodic Gardens. The Melodic Gardens. It'll feature a new enemy for Mario and company to take on. This is going to be released sometime in mid-2023. The first DLC for the game, which came out in March, called Tower of Doom, is already available now if you want to check that out. But yeah, there was a little teaser put out on the Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope Twitter. Didn't really show too much, just the name of it and like the garden that you go to. So yeah, if you want to check that out, head over to their Twitter for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, The Last Spark Hunter. Wo Long Fallen Dynasty has added a new, has updated the game, I should say, and there's going to be a DLC pack launching later this month. So yes, if you want to check it out, the new update adds a battle, like a boss rush mode, essentially. It's called Crouching Dragons. To get to it, you need the fast travel to that battlefield. So yeah, essentially it's a bunch of boss fights, one after the other. If you fail during a boss fight, you won't be able to reclaim the morale that you gained by beating the one before it. So that kind of is interesting. There's a bunch of other bug fixes and changes as well. But the big thing is the new major DLC pack that's going to be coming in on June 29th, 2023, called the Battle of Zongyang. There's not much to go on at the moment, but obviously there's going to be a new stage, difficulty level, weapon types, enemies, and more. So yeah, this is probably going to be a paid expansion. So right now there's no pricing, but yeah, it's probably going to be a paid expansion. In the little thumbnail for this, it shows a guy with a giant hammer, which we haven't seen yet. Maybe kind of cool. It also shows two of the main characters from the game who you meet. So I'm guessing you're going to be playing or battling with them against this hammer guy, or maybe the hammer guy is going to be a new guy to fight with. I don't know. But either way, right now, new update for the game, adding some new stuff, and a new DLC coming soon. Atari is putting out a Days of Doom game. Wait, I said that wrong. Atari is putting out a new game called Days of Doom. Very much seems to be inspired by something like Darkest Dungeon or something like that. Essentially, it's a zombie game where you use turn-based combat to defeat hordes of zombies, waves of zombies, I should say. And each of your characters kind of has like a special, unique ability or use to them. Some of them have giant weapons. Some of them use magic. Some of these use grenades. Some of them use blunt force. But yeah, in the description it says beautifully animated hand-drawn art that brings the quirky vision of the post-apocalypse to life. 8 character classes, each equipped with unique default and special abilities. Dozens of enemies from archetypal zombies to deadly raiders and mutant reptilians. There's also explosive monstrosities and 2 brutal boss fights. Over 50 randomly occurring events, over 70 items and runes to collect, roguelite progression system, original orchestral soundtrack by Jilly Ditmar. If you want to check out the video for this, you can head over to Atari's YouTube channel and check it out. Looks very much like a Darkest Dungeon, except with zombies. So there you go. And finally for today, Samba de Amigo is shaking its way onto Switch in August. On the 29th of August, that is. They also detailed the content that will be coming to the game in the Digital Deluxe Edition. So not only do you get the full game along with its soundtrack, but you also get the Sonic Music DLC pack, the Sega Music DLC pack, the Sonic costume, a Tails costume, a Space Channel 5 costume, a Super Monkey Ball costume, and a Puyo Puyo costume as well. So the base game is going to be about $35-ish, and the deluxe edition is going to be about $45-ish. So if you want to check that out, that'll be coming soon on the 29th of August. Samba de Amigo, Party Central. There you go. So it is a little bit outside of the summer 2023 release date that they originally had. I don't think the late August is summer technically, but hey, it's coming this year still, and I think this is a pretty good digital deluxe edition. Get some costumes, get some new music in there that you don't have to pay extra for, or well, you do pay extra for, but it's gonna be bundled together, so probably gonna cost a little bit less in the long run. But here's the full track list for the Sonic the Hedgehog DLC. No, this is the... Why did they send... Okay. Hold on, let me see here. Let me click on this link. Here we go. No. What the heck? Why would they not link me to the Sonic set list? It says, if you want to check out the full track... Oh, the full track list. Oh. Okay, so they haven't revealed the songs coming to the Sonic or Sega packs. I'm guessing it's going to be Green Hill Zone, stuff like that. Chemical Plant. All right, enough embarrassment for one day. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fair 64. If you want to check me out, I stream on Twitch Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. On Monday, we're going to be starting Medal of Honor Vanguard, which is going to be a pretty quick playthrough if I'm to be, if I know my stuff. I never played this one before, but it's one of the last Medal of Honor games to come out on the PS2. It uses the same engine as European Assault, but I think it's a better designed game from what I've seen in the little clips that I've watched. Starting Thursday is our new June Plus competition. Essentially, we're going to be playing games from the PlayStation Plus catalog that I've never played or haven't finished, and I'm going to be trying to finish as many as I can in the month of June. The competition is detailed in the Discord if you want to check that out. All right, everyone's favorite moment, guess that song. Today's song, gonna be a doozy. Last week, congratulations to Callus for getting the Vigilante 8 theme song, or main theme, correct? Congratulations to him. If you want to try and get your guess in, and you want to try and guess this game, or this song, just put it into the Fair 64 channel on the Discord, and you may win a free super reaction from me. That's right. Ooh. All right, without further ado, what's the song? Play it right now. All right, like I said, if you get that right, you'll get a free super reaction. If you want to check out anything else that I do, it's all at Yemmy the Ferret, whether it be YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, etc. If you want to follow my VODs channel, I'm uploading shorts there now. Yemmy the Ferret VODs. You can check that out if you want. And then also I do another podcast called Film Freaks with a Z, where we talk about movies. Me and a group of friends talk about a single movie in each episode. The latest episode is about Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and the next one's going to be about Inglourious Basterds. If you want to check that out when it comes out next week. All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening. I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I am out of here. I'll talk at you next time. Bye-bye. The Ferret 64 podcast is owned and edited by Yemmy the Ferret. The song Nightshade, used in the intro and outro, is owned by Adhesive Wombat. Small sound clips during the podcast were made by Yemmy the Ferret. News sources include NintendoLife.com, pushsquare.com, and purexbox.com. All opinions video game related are my own. Thank you for listening.